of Mr. George Floyd from Houston, Texas, 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas. Why is that so important to you all down here?
It's important because once you're from 3rd Ward, then everybody should know, like, your heart, who you are as a person. But it was hard being raised in 3rd Ward. It's a very harsh town. It's a lot of obstacles that you have to overcome. And that's being black and a young black woman.
Wow. So the 3rd Ward, I mean, you all really pounded that thing out in the memorial services, and definitely here in Houston at the funeral. There's a lot of pride coming out of the 3rd Ward right now.
Well, yes, sir. He was very well loved. Everybody loved him. Everybody looked up to him like he was Superman. Like, when he came around, the whole room was filled with smiles.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So the obstacles of the 3rd Ward, it sounds a little bit like where I came from. I'm from Burlington, North Carolina, and I grew up on what's called Tucker Street. It was, an apartment community, what we consider to be Section 8. I'm from the bottom, literally, and God has really blessed me, Brooke, as well as my family, on the come up, as we say. So does 3rd Ward sound a little bit like Tucker Street?
Yes, sir, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would describe 3rd Ward as. My grandmother, she raised all of us, her grandchildren and her children. My mother, she didn't really have the opportunity of raising us because of the things she was going through. So we would all stay in the house together.
Wow.
Like, as one big family. My cousins, my friends, that would be called cousins later on.
So your extended family as well. So in my hood, there was drugs. There was all types of addictions. Folks would get drunk every day and fight half the night. There was a lot going on from where I'm from and in other neighborhoods that my family lived in. Let me ask you a really bold question right now. Okay. Do you do drugs?
No, sir.
Do you have alcohol issues, or do you drink alcohol at 16?
No, sir, I do not.
Is Brooke an anomaly for the 3rd Ward? I mean, is that different for teenagers from where you're from?
Yes, sir, it's most definitely different. Everybody around me would get addicted to drugs, weed, alcohol. But it is very hard of just being that one little person not doing those things.
Did you feel indifferent sometimes, or has it been hard to maintain friendships because you're not doing what everybody else is doing?
Yes, sir. I want to be real with you. Mm-hmm. I used to do those type of things, but I do not anymore. I used to smoke, but I stopped because it will get you nowhere in life.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I mean, there's a lot of people that's watching us that probably do some of those things. So can you make an appeal to them why it would be your best advisement to your friends, to your peer group, why they shouldn't participate in that kind of recreational drug use?
Well, why they shouldn't participate in those drug substances? Because you spending money that you could be investing in businesses later on, the next generation for you. You just be building yourself up instead of tearing yourself down. It's not doing anything. It's bothering your health, your lungs, mentally. So anyone that's out there doing those things, I beg you to stop.
I think your uncle would be so proud of you right now.
Thank you.
Like, to hear you say that, I feel Mr. George is like smiling. His spirit is probably right here with us right now. Tell us about your relationship with your uncle. I mean, I have uncles I really don't know like that. Is that what you and George Floyd had, or was it something different?
He was very different. He was a father figure to me. I remember the first day of him coming home from being incarcerated. I ran home all the way from school. Um, I was just so happy to see his smile. I remember being, like, as a child, he would just pick me up and raise me to the sky. He would make sure my grandmother was all right, that we were all okay, no matter who they were, what they did, like I said in my poem.
Wow. So Uncle George, what did you call him?
I called him Perry.
Uncle Perry was like the hero
Yes, sir.
of the family.
Yes, sir. He'll always tell me I go so far in athletics. And I do participate in athletics in my school, which is Jack Yates. I run track and field, and I play varsity basketball.
Wow. Very talented. And now you're a public speaker.
Hello, my name is Brooke Williams, George Floyd's niece, and I can breathe. Long as I'm breathing, justice will be served for Perry. Their officer showed no remorse while watching my uncle's soul leave his body. He begged and pleaded many times just for you to get up, but you just pushed harder. Why must this system be corrupt and broken?
3 weeks ago, would you have ever imagined?
No, sir.
And even when you learned of Uncle Perry's passing, would you have ever imagined?
No, sir. I would not imagine that he would have changed this world. You know, like, we're fighting for justice. Everybody is supporting us, all races, and I want to thank them for that.
Well, take us back to the moment when you learned that George had passed. What was that like for you? How did you learn?
I was in disbelief. I was just waking up on Monday, I believe, and he passed away on Saturday or Sunday. I was in disbelief. Very. One of my friends had texted me on Instagram. They said, "Give me your sister's number. Tell Bibi to call me, you know?" And I said, "What happened? What happened?" She said, "You don't know?" And then she called me. She told me. I said, "No, that can't be true. Make sure, like, check again. Is there any more George Floyds out there? Because they can't be my uncle. Absolutely not." And I remember me just being there by myself, just crying.
You were alone.
Yes, sir. Everybody was at work or out.
Did you see the video that we all saw?
Yes, sir.
How did you see that, and what was that moment like for you?
My friends had sent it to me, and it was my uncle. They was like, "Did you see this?" I said, "I don't want to watch it. I can only watch the part." He said, "I can't breathe." And I seen blood coming in his nose. And later on, I watched the rest of it. And he's calling for my mom, like our mom. He said, "Mama, Mama." And just broke my heart.
You immediately recognized him
Yes, sir.
in that video.
His facial structures, his facial features, our noses are similar. You know, I take after his height.
Wow, because you're still growing.
Yes, sir.
Initially, you couldn't watch the video.
No, sir.
Why?
Because that was my father to me, someone that I knew all my life. And for you to just take his life simply like that, broken.
You were alone when you seen this video?
Yes, sir. It was just me and my dog at the house. So
Oh, wow.
she knew I was sad, so she came in the room, started jumping, trying to play with me.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What was it like before the media drew attention to that Officer Chauvin's knee on your uncle's neck? Did you notice that it was excessive force? Did you think?
I absolutely thought it was excessive force because he was really straining. Like, he did not move his knee. He was pushing harder as he's saying, "I cannot breathe." It's like he didn't want him to breathe anymore. So I already knew he was struggling, just had his hand on the car, just moving moving his knee on his neck. Like, why would you do that? Why would you take somebody's life?
You saw what everybody else saw, and I'm sorry, Brooke, that your father figure uncle had to die like that. We are all in these streets fighting for justice. When did you notice that your uncle's death was actually changing society?
Well, actually, I've been noticed before, but yesterday, when Mayor Sylvester Turner and the other man from Congress made those new laws, or those passed those new bills.
We have a duty, responsibility, and an obligation not to allow this to be like the other times. We have a responsibility to each one of them to make sure that we do not walk away today after having celebrated his life and not taken the next step to commemorate and to assure the future generations that this won't happen again. We have now a law that makes it against the law to put your foot on the neck of a person. It's against the law. You can't have a no-knock law. It's against the law. You're going to have to wear your body cameras. It's against the law. The Congressional Black Caucus is making a difference.
But as I speak right now, the city attorney is drafting an executive order. And what that order will say is that in this city, we will ban chokeholds and strangleholds. In this city, we will require de-escalation. In this city, you have to give a warning before you shoot. George and this family, rearing up in Houston, 3rd Ward, Detroit, coming out of CUNY homes. But we honor him today because when he took his last breath, the rest of us will now be able to breathe. So therefore I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proudly proclaim June 9th, 2020 as George Perry Day in the City of Houston. To God be the glory for the good he has done.
I just smiled. I got up and I clapped so hard.
Wow.
My hands were just hurting.
Really?
I was just screaming.
Yeah.
Saying yes,
Yeah.
yes, finally, some change is being made.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very powerful moment at the funeral, and Brooke is speaking about Al Green, Congressman Al Green, who made some major announcements at the funeral service. But there were Jamie Foxxes there. There were rock stars there. There were R&B legends there, gospel legends.
You know, before that, the memorial service in Minnesota, I believe.
Yes.
We seen Kevin Hart, T.I., Tip, actually, and Tiffany Haddish. When I looked at Tip, he had did this to me. And I just did it right back. Because I had seen an advertisement on BET that he just put out saying vote. Your vote counts.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's absolutely right.
Wow. Well, I'm actually happy to be able to call T.I. a friend of mine, and he and I spoke after the memorial service in Minneapolis. And Tip, we trying to get you on this joint, so you hear Miss Brooke right there. She's calling for you, bro. But, you know, we want you to join us on Justice for the Next Generation, and we're going to try to make that happen, Brooke.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that would be great. So, do you remember the moment when in Minneapolis, after you gave your poem on that street stage, and when the family was headed back to the cars, do you remember the moment when the sea of people, when they parted and let you all pass through?
That was so, touched my heart to see everybody support us, move out the way, you know, just like make way for us, because they know what we're feeling. I understand they know what we're feeling.
It was really cool, wasn't it?
Everybody was just pounding their fist, saying Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, yeah.
And then someone handed me a portrait of my uncle and said, "You did great." And I was just shaking. You know, my family was even in disbelief. They said, "We didn't know you had that in you."
Wow.
I always had fire in me.
Wow. So this passing has actually brought out a newfound sense of purpose.
Yes, sir.
For you. Tell me a little bit more about this fire that you just spoke of, that you feel now.
Everybody been quote calling me a celebrity. I don't know why, but it just feels different. I've been had this feeling inside as a young girl. Always spoke my mind, told others what I felt or how they felt, and I always wanted to help people.
Have you ever heard of the term or the title prophet?
Yes, sir.
Because you're from a religious family,
Christian
family. So you've heard of a prophet.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that what you're doing right now is prophetic?
I did not know that. I did not notice it.
So the true meaning of a prophet is not one who tells the future exclusively. The true purpose and the true meaning of a prophet, Brooke, is one that speaks truth to power. At the funeral yesterday, you made some very bold statements to our national leaders.
Yes, sir. I
You-
wanted to touch them.
You spoke out and said, when was America ever great?
Never.
Laws were already put in place for the African American system to fail. And these laws need to be changed. No more hate crimes, please. Someone said make America great again, but when has America ever been great?
And I know a lot of people that would disagree with you on that, but in your 16 years, America has not been great for you.
At all, not for the races, being black, African American, even Latinos being at ICE. ICE. I don't understand.
Were you aware of racism before your uncle's passing?
Oh, absolutely.
What have you experienced in terms of racism?
Well, basically, I've been in public schools my whole life, but I had this teacher, you know, it didn't go so well.
You've experienced some bias
Yes, sir.
from even your teachers.
You know, I used to be this type of person. I'm always the same person, you know, but we all make mistakes in our life. And I didn't used to do my work in school, but I changed. Now I'm number 21 in my class. People would just say, wow, I'm so proud of you, but yet used to doubt me.
So be more specific, because you're still in high school at Jack Yates. That's where Mr. George Floyd went, and I promise you, like, Brooke, Jack Yates is gonna be in my head like for a long time, if not forever. Maybe one day we'll get to come to Jack Yates and see what's up around those parts.
They have open arms waiting. That's
Really?
how Jack Yates is. Yes, sir.
Well, your family, the people in Minnesota and the people here in Houston have just blew our minds with how welcoming you all are. You know, the other thing that blew my mind, the heat. I got off the plane, I was like, talk about a warm welcome. It's hot down here.
Houston weather is so bipolar, so you have to use the weather.
That's funny. So, you know, you probably don't know, I'm a teacher. I used to teach high school English to all of my students out there from Cummins High School, Southwest Guilford High School.
I love ELA.
I
love ELA.
Really?
That's all right. I love to read. But mathematics is not just my, sport.
Oh, I got you. So I have some people on my crew who actually teach math as well. But by you loving ELA, then you would have been one of my favorite students. Dope. And now I teach at the university level. So when you said that you have experienced racism or bias in the classroom, that bothers me. Can you say a little bit more? I'm sure you don't want to say who, but can you just say a little bit more? Because people that are watching this will want to know how we can change that and how we can make systematic change, how we can actually vet our educators, learn of these biases, get ahead of these biases before they're contracted into another year of teaching So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I don't want to say the school,
Mhm.
but I've been to like a couple schools out there. When I was young, I remember like around 8, this teacher would always look at me sideways, so I'm like, why are you looking at me like that, you know? It's an administrator actually, and she didn't look at me so well. She was just always like, you know, like just give me a look. Like every time I would get in trouble, she was right there making sure I would serve my papers to get suspended.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that you felt like an administrator took pleasure in disciplining you?
Yes, sir.
And you think that has something to do with race?
My skin color, yes, sir, most definitely. She always treated others like that too, of my skin color. But when it came to people of her skin color, she was so welcoming, like making sure they didn't get in trouble, making sure they was on task. Why was she like that with us?
Wow. You know, Brooke, I sit on boards where we actually talk about what you're sharing with us. We actually spend a lot of time and a lot of dialogue around the fact that they know that even though it's unspoken, these students are not stupid. They know. They can feel when they're being oppressed. They can feel when there's bigotry and bias. Do you think that anyone around that administrator or even that administrators themselves would admit that there's a bias against Black and brown students?
Yes, sir. Most definitely. My principal, the principal of the school I went to, she was just always so helpful, you know, making sure I didn't get in trouble. And she did not like that administrator. She was giving her like multiple chances because she was a good administrator, but she was racist. And she was like, it's time to let her go.
Wow. You know, I blame the system that would not have dealt with that before you had to deal with it. But how would you feel if I were to say that your uncle's death was actually about to change even how education is administered to you and your peers?
Well, I say thank you. That's what I would like to say. But more about education. When they put us in those classrooms, we're not learning nothing about the actual real world. We need tools to be educated in life later on. When we graduate from high school, we move up to the next level. We need those tools, sociability skills. So,
do you think, you talk about real world.
yes, sir.
And again, going back to our neighborhoods, going back to our blocks. Did anything you learn in school teach you how to navigate through life thus far?
Well, some teachers, they actually helped me, you know. There's like, she's very smart, she's very talented. Just like, you know, where she comes from, she has like a lot of anger built up inside her. She don't know how to control it well.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have friends that may be dealing with that as well.
Yes,
why do you think young black youth, or let me say this again, why do you think black youth is angry right now?
Because we're not being served the justice that needs to be served. We're not treated equally. And they all see that. We all see it.
And you know it.
Yes, sir.
What do you think you want to do in terms of college? You number 21 in your class. I'm sure that's even going to keep rising as you march towards graduation.
Top 10%.
Dope. Okay.
I'm one spot away from top 10%. I plan
Really?
on being no spots behind.
Okay, so the next time we check in with Brooke, everybody, she's even going to elevate from here. So y'all make sure y'all stay on Brooke on social media. Keep pushing her, because I believe maybe even the top 5%.
Oh yeah.
Where do you want to go to college? Do you know?
Definitely at HBCU.
For real?
Yes, sir.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
So me and my entire crew went to HBCUs. Yeah. We went to HBCUs in North Carolina. Let me just tell you, in North Carolina, we have Bennett College. That's one of only 2 all-black female HBCUs. So you check out Bennett College.
Okay.
And then I'm a proud graduate of the illustrious, worldwide, world-class institution, North Carolina A&T State University. Have you heard of North Carolina A&T?
NCAA?
Yeah.
Of course. My sister wants to attend a college for engineering.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
Would you be shocked to know that I have actual A&T engineering grads on our film crew from
I want to
A&T?
congratulate y'all.
So we gotta hook your sister up with A&T to come and do a visit.
I surely gonna let her know.
Yeah, tell the admissions office we got you. We don't need them to intervene. Like
Okay.
For real. So I'm impressed that you want to go to an HBCU. I think you'll be able to go to any HBCU you want to.
Thank you.
And I hope to see that happen. So we're doing this work around justice. And you, my dear, are the latest and youngest voice in this national conversation. I want to say one thing to you. You remember a few years ago when a gunman went in Parkland High School and killed all those students? Does that ring your bell at all?
Well, there's a lot of shootings nowadays, and that's very sad.
Yeah.
I have to say that.
So I remember when Parkland High School was invaded by a gunman. It happened just a few years back. And as a result of what happened that day at Parkland High School and the loss of life, there were 15, 16, 17-year-old students who took the nation by storm, took the national stage as spokespersons against gun control or for gun control. These young people went on to be celebrities as well. They went on to speak to Congress. They went on to lead marches and demonstrations in the nation's capital. They went on to give talks and dialogues in college classrooms and communities across America. And I said to myself then, why is it when young black voices speak out against the things that happen in their communities, do they not get those same opportunities? Brooke, you're a celebrity today because of an unfortunate event, the passing of your uncle. But I want you to know that we're going to push you forward. We're going to push you into the national scene and into the national spotlight. We're going to tell everybody that you are the voice from within this generation that they need to hear from concerning justice. Are you ready for all of that?
I most absolutely am.
Did y'all see that confidence? Like, she's like, I got this. I believe the Lord is with you.
Thank you.
So let me ask you one more question. What does justice look like for the next generation?
Justice look like for the next generation is us being us, living day-to-day life without being seen as someone who is less than anyone else, having the freedom of speech. That's all.
Thank you. You wrote a poem for your uncle.
Yes, sir.
Can you read that for us?
Yes.
Everyone, Brooke Williams, in her own words, a special tribute to her uncle, Perry, better known to us as George Floyd.
So one of the strongest men I know, not just strong physically, but mentally. I love you.
When you were around, everyone felt your presence and no one felt left out. You were a big jolly giant, harmless. I feel empty inside when I know I will not be able to hear the soothing sound of your voice anymore.
You always called me your baby girl and said I'll be successful no matter what. It turns out you were right. Thanks for the support and congratulations.
You took care of everyone around you, no matter who they were or what they did. I remember some days Mama was all we had, and she kept us all together.
I know you and Grandma will be very proud of me. I finished the race for you, and Grandma, I love y'all.
I love y'all dearly. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Brooke. We're going to keep in touch with you. Y'all, let's push her to the next level. You've heard from Brooke Williams, the niece of George Floyd.